You're showing me that you can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm just boiling water, making a coffee.
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave and come back.
All right. I can hear you though. It's just that the kettle's loud. Yeah, this room is quieter. And I have to tend the fireplace a bit. But that's good for another hour or so.
Oh, it looks like I'm signed in with my other. That's very, very strange. It's doing strange things right now. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, crystal clear, but I might have to switch to Bluetooth.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see if it works.
Sometimes you have to leave and come back. I can see and hear you fine.
Perfectly. Yeah, with the Bluetooth, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. But I think it's the stream, the internet, or the government.
Maybe.
Because they don't want you. They don't want you talking.
Yeah, it's always at least two factors, I think.
Yes. I agree.
3 factors, maybe.
So I did get a message from you that you're having some issues there in Ukraine. The union. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Yeah, well, I'm not adverse to being transparent, and I'm not averse to dialogue and conversation, and I'm never going to be that guy to say, let's not talk about something, But that's always, and I've probably developed this sort of philosophical approach because I've been subjected to that, this sort of censorship and discrediting and disenfranchisement. And I think that a lot of Canadians are experiencing some kind of disenfranchisement in their lives now more than, in recent times. So yeah, basically in some of these whistleblower spaces, what I try to help, remind people is that we are all disenfranchised and we need to be re-empowered again. We need to feel empowerment again and be re-empowered. And the approaches of censorship and obfuscation do not serve the public, and that's evident in my case. At least I can say that because, finally the police in York region are starting to investigate the executives who made their accusations against me in order to discredit and censor me. And I'm happy to talk about it. I want to get clear the smoke, in big smoke. Maybe that's a good clearing the smoke in big smoke. That's what we should be doing because Toronto is the big smoke, right?
Yes.
So let's clean the swamp, Canadian style. Let's clear the smoke because Toronto's got so much smoke that like you can't see through the haze of corruption, and it's not just the city. It's politicians, people we elect in the government and in our trade unions are getting kickbacks, and there's drug trafficking going on. I don't want to indicate people, but I actually reported coke trafficking in the city's office, and on one occasion, and was offered some cents hush money. Can you imagine? You know,
Wow.
yeah. But my former trade union executives, they're still the executives. They were able to maintain their tenure through my censorship, but that's not the role of the police, right? The police
No.
don't censor people. It's their the law enforcement service, right? But it's not always a service. It's always, it's been manipulated into serving up another interest sometimes. And in my
Hmm.
with the union's case, that's evident, and it's already the precedent's already been set, right? Because I self represented against harassment from my trade union without a lawyer. It got thrown out. So I think that sets a precedent. And in Toronto, I faced public mischief allegations as well. No lawyer, self represented, dismissed. I don't have criminal intent. When I reported the Shermans, my intention was to help provide peace and justice and safety and enable the police with the information that I had. But they
Hmm.
didn't, they're still barely failing to investigate it. They're still bungling. Bungling is a loose term, it's not what they're doing. They're directly obfuscating. Because it's their jurisdiction to let somebody demolish the crime scene.
Yeah. Well, I did share the petition on Facebook, and
Great,
I
thanks.
will.
I
Yeah.
mean, 40 signatures is not
Yeah.
zero, but
I've heard about the Shermans, and learned about their story over the years. And you're not the only one that's talking about it either. Um,
I hope
it's
not.
just
Yeah.
and but the media has the power to bury anything, any
Yeah.
story they don't want to hear. So we really have no media anymore. Like, we're the media right now
Yeah.
because we're not getting paid to say something. We're not getting paid. I fundraise to make this happen. So I
Nice.
have
Great.
no outside influence because of it.
Yeah.
And neither do you really. You're helping others in Ukraine.
It's still an
Uh,
agenda, though. I have an agenda
yeah,
for humanitarianism and sustainability and ethics. But like,
yeah, of
that's what
course.
politicians are supposed to have too.
Hmm. So, do you want to talk about the union or what they're
I
doing
can
right
answer any
now?
question. Almost any question. The only questions I probably I'm not interested in answering are ones that violate operational security in Ukraine, and I'm sure
Of
you're not
course.
going to ask me anyway. So you're
No.
just going to ask me Canadian shit, and I'm just a regular Canadian that went through a bunch of crazy shit in the West End of Toronto, and I can answer any question that you want to ask, and I'm happy to be given an opportunity to even
I think what
be asked.
yeah, I what Canadians want to know is what it's like there. Like, what are the people like? What are the conditions in Ukraine where you are, for example? Like, just give us some insight because we don't know anything.
Well, I heard actually that the media is not covering Ukraine like it used to, and I had a friend um, from Toronto that was keeping tabs on me, and he's passed away actually, unfortunately, recently, um, and he told me that the public isn't aware of what's going on because it's not in the news as much, and it really is taking a back burner, and I think it's because not that there's apathy, but that it's a media campaign to focus on a different story, maybe to focus on Israel or something. I don't know, but not to get too in the weeds. What I'm dealing with in my particular location is it's a very rural sort of setting where I am right now, so it has its pros and cons. It's quiet and cleaner air, and I don't really hear as much air traffic, or there's no FPVs because I'm far away from the 40-kilometer range of most FPVs, even fiber optic ones, and or around that number anyway. But I mean, a lot of Ukrainians that are living in large cities are subjected to a lot more terrorism, and I've lived in major cities like Kharkiv, Odessa, in Kyiv, and other cities, because Ukraine has quite a good number of beautiful cities out here, and each one is targeted by these long range drones, Shaheds, Garans, and they're harder and harder to take down. They've got quieter engines, and they're more effective, and it's terrifying to experience and witness in the large city centers, because there are people that, elderly, children, pets, everyone doesn't have adequate shelter or protection, which is far more different than being at the zero line, where we are prepared and we're, issued helmets and armor and stuff, and we even take precautionary measures, so we are more protected at the front, and there aren't these sort of civilian hazards, that but there are actually in many instances, and there are civilians even at the zero line that refuse to be evacuated, and my heart goes out to them, and I want to help them, and I've given them supplies on the front line. But the energy attacks that we recently experienced are a form of terrorism, and it's ecocide and terrorism. It kind of reminds me of World War II, right? The same sort of pattern is evident. Like, the Nazis attacked the British with V2 rockets, and it didn't really do much in their in their interest. It didn't serve their interest, because it really emboldened the British to respond. Right? It motivated the civilians to volunteer and take up arms, and it resulted in failure for the Nazis. So I think that the same is similar sort of application is occurring here. Civilians here are tormented, are being tormented here, and we're forced to take
Terrible.
up arms against invaders. It's terrible, but we don't want to have to do this. And Ukraine never wanted war with Russia. It's been 30 years of peace until this belligerent occupational SMO, stupid Moscow obliteration, I call it,
I would
began.
agree. It's like Canada, United States. We get along.
Yeah,
We were neighbors. Attached countries. Russian and Ukraine speaking, and just an open border crossing. People worked on both sides, and I really blame other sources, outside sources, for causing the whole thing, creating a war where there was none. And I think they've all been like that, unfortunately. And unfortunately, innocent people are dying for who? Who? The bankers, the banking cartel, the usury, compound interest people. I mean, it seems like they have such a thirst for more money. But I mean, we're all being attacked. We're being attacked here in Canada, a lot more clandestinely. Chemtrails, poison in the food, spraying glyphosate in the forest. And, I've seen whole areas of birch trees dead because of it. And it's clandestine because you don't see it. People are just going along with their days. But I mean, you're basically in, a literal war zone that's not clandestine at all. And, people are dying. And nobody wants, the world doesn't want it. Like Canadians, we don't have a lust for blood. We don't
yeah,
have this passion for bloodshed. It's not in our DNA. We're good people. You wouldn't be there if you weren't a good person, first of all, because it's an automatic risk just by going there,
yeah.
right into the war zone. So I appreciate you coming on here and letting our fellow Canadians know what's going on without the media perspective. You know, so thank you for that. Thank you for your time. Okay, where were we? Can you
Well,
still hear me? I don't trust.
I also enjoy my time here. The food is amazing. People
Hmm.
are mostly friendly. I am learning a lot in terms of military training that I couldn't receive in Canada, because when I applied to the reserves in 2004, I was rejected based on a misdiagnosis. And this has been a chance for me to serve in a noble military endeavor of civilian protection. So
Hmm.
it's been, a really wholesome growing experience, even though there's been some, pitfalls and challenges. It's not unexpected. I came here expecting harm, expecting to anticipate harm and loss, and but I've thankfully I've been able to get by and survive, and I've lost a lot of money, in fact. But I got all my fingers and toes, and I'm happy. I'm happy that I've survived because I have former friends who haven't made it, that fought hard and deserve recognition, and I wanted to acknowledge those fallen friends and heroes, and as well because this is a constant effort to be valiant and to be just to take up defense of people's freedom and their human rights, and the capacity to express themselves, to live their lives, and that's one reason why Ukraine, I can see that they've got a more ethical military, than the Russians for sure. There is a draft in Ukraine, but
Hmm.
you won't see that in the media. You'll see that, oh, they're grabbing Ukrainians off the streets and stuff. Well, the fact is that there is a draft, but it's at 25, and it used to be 27. It's not 18. In Russia they draft you at 18, and the conditions that they're given, the conditions of fighting as an infantryman are extremely deplorable in Russia. In
In Israel, you have no choice. Everyone has to serve.
Yes, but in
Or,
Russia, it's a death sentence. Most Russians die in Ukraine that serve in the Russian military that's come here. They don't last very long, you know. And I've seen quite a few videos that they're being deployed, and then minutes later they've been hit
well, I
because they're
guarantee Canadians have not heard your perspective. They haven't heard it.
well, some
You
know.
know.
There's a lot of Ukrainians in Canada. The large diaspora of Ukrainians in Toronto, in Canada, in Toronto that I've met. You could ask them, and they'll tell you a lot of this stuff themselves. But the Soviet sort of mentality in the Russian Empire, in the Russian military, it's more it's more pervasive than in the Ukrainian military, which you do experience in the Ukrainian military, this sort of Soviet mentality, but it's far less. It's more. The Ukrainian military is more advanced tactically than the Russians. The Russians are sending these meat waves, and it's totally inhumane. It's barbaric. The military, Russian military's conditions are totally barbaric, and you see Americans, and even I think I read some Canadians going and fighting the Russian military, and they're trying to get there was some couple trying to get Canadians went to Russia for a better life, and they're not getting it. It's really really tragedy tragic because they've misled their own people. They misled their own people to think that there are, that Ukraine is supposed to be the subject of Russia, and then there's Nazis here, that there's all these things that are not true. The fact is that they're kidnapping Ukrainian children. There's 60,000, at least 60,000 Ukrainian children kidnapped to Russia, and there's an international effort to help bring back these kids to Ukraine. And there's all kinds of other horrors and problems and crises are occurring here at the same time. Yes, it's a war torn country, but I think Ukraine knows that if we continue to fight this in the right manner, we will outlast them. They're experiencing a severe attritional defense. In places like Pokrovsk, which we just liberated, special forces came in and they liberated large swaths of that area
Hmm.
after years of Russian military trying to occupy slower than a snail's pace, according to some analysts. It's not worth the death toll for them to occupy this ancient civilization. These people, these Ukrainians, it's not worth anybody's lives to like Putin was quoted to say that it's a tradition that where a Russian soldier steps his foot will forever be known as Russian territory or something to that effect. And that's just sheer totalitarian rhetoric, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not normal. I mean, that's what they're kind of trying to do in Canada with the UN and ICLEI and UNDRIP. If we stand here, we can make claim to the land. It basically allowing an opportunity for immigrants to just claim land that aren't from here. It's a land grab for sure, and they even specify 30% by a certain year and 80% by 2030, I believe. So it's just a complete takeover of Canadian land. So there's a different kind of war all across the earth, you know, in different ways. Ours is more clandestine and more psychological. That's where the war is really bad because people are still in their car with masks on, terrified of life. I mean, that's cruel. That's cruel government right there. They did that, and we have no one to arrest them for negligence. No, no, it is a crime to me. It's a huge crime to scare people. This climate alarmism is another tactic they use. Net zero is like no people. Net zero can only be accomplished when you kill everyone. I mean, those kind of words should never be used. It's negligent. Net zero means no people. So they're openly just saying words that mean, and I look at the meaning of the words behind the words. What are they really saying here? I had to do that with the religious books because they were very complex and they almost seemed deliberately trying to confuse you. Um, but thank God my faith is so strong I was able to see through that. But I'm also seeing through all this rhetoric. To me, it's all criminal. These media corporations should be shut down, not funded by our tax money. I also want to end all our tax money going to wars because we don't know where the money is going. And no matter what, as soon as you pick a side, you're consenting to the crime. You're consenting to the bomb that will murder innocent people. So that's where they get us. They get us by making us pick a side, Gaza or Israel, Ukraine or Russia. You know what? I pick Ukraine and Russia. How's that? How about we don't kill anybody because of where they live? That you're not guilty by location. You're not guilty because of where you live. And you are an example of the heart of Canada, the heart of Canadians willing to die for someone else. You don't even know. You don't even know these people, and you're there prepared to risk your life. I mean that's why I love that you're on my show because you are the news. You are what's important. You represent who we are as people. And that's so important to me. That's more important than, who won the hockey game. You know what I mean? So thank you for coming, White Wolf, my brother, Kim, who's also, healing situation with animals, and she can heal, and she's a wonderful soul. Also very aware of drones and 5G and all that technology. And we did a show, White Wolf. We did multiple shows, but we're really all on the same page. All my guests are all, they all love their fellow man. They all care about each other, and that's to me that's really why I continued with the show because I think that is a story. That is the real story that people need to understand. If they watch the news, they're going to have a totally skewed perspective of what's going on in the world. And you give the opportunity to, like, you're right there, you're in Ukraine, you know. Media will not say and repeat anything you said. You know.
Well, I can actually speak to that because I have been trying to get more exposure, to be honest. It's part of my
Good.
organization's mission. I have to get donations for my organization. It's corporatism, really, of a nonprofit. It's a different business model than for profit, totally, but it's still a business, and I have to get exposure. But I've been trying, and because I have a position on other sensitive nature topics like Israel, Gaza, and I don't
Yeah.
sit on the fence. I take a side, and often in defense of civilians, innocent people. Like to me, infanticide is the threat. It's a threat in Ukraine. It's a threat in Gaza. It's a threat in Africa. It's a threat in America. It's a threat all
Yeah.
over the world. Infanticide is really. It's okay to defend against and protest infanticide. And people are doing that on the streets of Toronto, and it's causing uproar. But that's a good thing to protest. I think and so I try to align with these sorts of things. And I've been like, if you look at my explosive accident from January 5th, 2023, the mobile office that I had parked on that property called Anthro Glen Place that I've tried to rename. It had a Ukrainian flag and a Palestinian flag on it. And according to the fire marshal, the propane leak was caused by the cheapest propane heater I bought on Amazon. But there was suspicion that it was a targeted assassination attempt on me, or something hate rated based motivated crime, because of the sensitive, or the inflammatory flags that I had raised on my mobile home, which is totally lawful. But you shouldn't see people protesting a flag being raised. Palestinians raising a flag in City Hall is a great thing. It's long overdue. You know, Ukraine recognizes Palestine. Ukraine and Palestine have been recognizing each other as states for 30 years, and people don't know that fact. But I've done a little bit of research, and there are a lot of references of small nations that are new recognizing each other, such as Palestine and Ukraine. And there is a community in Ukraine. I know here it's kind of known as like a Zionist stronghold of sorts, and it kind of is in many ways. The president is Jewish, which is interesting. But these are just influential groups in our world, right? Like
Mhm.
in Canada and the United States, the Jewish lobby is really very active, and that's just because they probably haven't been getting bombed as much as Arabs.
Mm. And are different kinds of Jews. There are Jews from Palestine and Jews from Poland. The
Yeah,
Ashkenazi and the
right.
Sephardi are like original
Sephardi,
Palestinian.
yeah, yeah,
And they and they let in the Ashkenazi, and the Ashkenazi took over, and they killed a lot of people, and they basically took over the land and made claim to it, even though it was actually Sephardi land. But we don't need to get into that. I don't have a problem with
yeah,
people, uh, 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 celebrating their own land on Canadian soil, carrying their own flags. That doesn't bother me at all. What bothers me is when our government does it. When it comes to Canadian buildings, government buildings, post office, parliament, schools, all of these, they should have just a Canadian flag only because they don't
yeah.
represent other things and agendas or the LGB. And that's all
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
calling
sorry.
LGB is all I'm calling it because the rest of the letters is the Trojan horse. It's a
Yeah,
Trojan horse of depravity brought to us by the Ashkenazi Jews. That's
right.
why they get kicked out of every country because of their dirty books with children, because of the fact that it's okay to do it with a 3-year-old. I mean, their standards and values are way below ours.
Totally.
They would be in jail with their values. You know,
Yeah,
that's who they are. These are the people that loan money in a Christian country. It's illegal to to use usury and compound interest. We didn't have it till 1974 in Canada with Pierre Elliott Trudeau. So that's when we got betrayed. And Russia was betrayed. The Bolsheviks, they were all Jews that ran the whole USSR and that whole nightmare, killing what 70, 60, 70 million people, Christian 20 million Christians. So all these historical events shouldn't be forgotten. They mustn't be repeated. We have to identify the enemy. We have to say, okay, this is our enemy. So we stop doing this. No more, interest. Right now in Canada, the immigrants get interest-free loans, mortgages, but we don't. So our government is but using standard we're supposed to have to illegal immigrants, giving them halal mortgages, something that we should be getting. Our bank used to give interest-free to the provinces, to the cities, to build infrastructure, and it was successful. We never had like more than 50 billion in debt ever until 1974. And that's when we were captured, really. And now politically we were captured. And we have to we can't we have to question everything, you know. I mean, you know that. You have to question everything where you are because you're in a
Right.
war zone.
You do. Yeah.
So,
You have to question.
it's scary, scary stuff. I mean, it's quite admirable that you put your life on the line. Now, is there a link or a Give Send Go or somewhere where people can help you? If you can send it to me through Twitter or something, I can share the link on our live and on all the platforms I'm on. That way, if they do
Well,
want to help, that they can send
I
money
do
to
have the
you.
paypal.me/PFI Ukraine is the go-to link that I use. Although, anyone that wants to make a contribution can use even a credit card if they contact me. There is now a merchant processing for available for PFI Ukraine via my first business,
E-transfer?
Geek Media Solutions.
You
Sorry,
have e-transfer? Do you have e-transfer through email?
e-transfer. Yes, we have e-transfer too, and that's an instant donation because it's so
Yes,
transparent
that's
and
it's preferred
time
way.
stamped. So
Hmm.
that is actually the best donation method. There is PayPal takes a commission.
Yes, exactly. So we lost you, but I'm still here. I'm going to link the e-transfer information on the video comments or description when I get them after this. Um, so I suppose I could um, just continue talking since I have the gift of gab. I wasn't planning on doing a show. This is last minute. You never know when this is going to happen. And there's we're not really getting a lot of information that's true, and that's a real betrayal of our media, our CB and CTV. Welcome back, brother. So as I said, I was gonna put your all your links, your e-transfer on the in the description of this video so people can help you instantly. E-transfer is the best way. That's how I sell my t-shirts. They e-transfer me and I mail them their shirt. I press them myself, and it's basically the reason I'm back here. Just some t-shirts because I really didn't want sponsors. So any other information you want to disseminate to my followers here? Because I'm sure.
Well, e-transfer is probably the best route for Canadians to make a contribution to my registered nonprofit Pollute Free Initiative in registered Ontario, rebranded as pfiukraine.org. However, if credit card is your preference, you can reach out to me directly and I can process your credit card over the phone. We're partnered with Maris, so we can take a credit card over the phone, and that's maybe preferable for some people because they could, wait on the activity, and see the results and request a refund if they're not happy with the results, and I think that's reasonable and transparent. I've
Mhm.
requested refunds before from, contributions that I've made, and And as a nonprofit trying to get charitable status, I want to go the extra mile and try to be more transparent with people. In fact, there's a Telegram channel where I publish all my expenditures. Basically that proves it's proven through these documentations that I have spent 40 grand of my own in terms of my own pension withdrawals, savings, and credit. Even I have accrued about 13,000 in Canadian credit right now that I'm paying on credit cards and stuff, and the cash money loans to fund my enterprise here, which is a nonprofit. And saying nonprofit doesn't even describe the operation entirely, because it's like in a debt based situation. Like I'm spending, I've spent, I've lost money, so it's like total loss. It's not a nonprofit. It's just loss. I just keep on spending, and there are some contributions coming in. This year, we received about $650 in total in small contributions, and in 2 years, basically that's the sum of the entire contributions that we've received in Ukraine. Other than my own contributions of 40 plus, but I really am trying to do what I should have done before, because I have survivor's guilt. I feel like I should have done more in my time. I'm 44 years old at the end of the year, and I feel like there were times when I could have influenced the world for the better. And I tried, and it just wasn't effective enough. Honestly, I called 911 to stop the Sherman murders at least 5 times, and then I did a check address. And it's not just for their benefit that I called. I didn't just try to stop the Shermans getting murdered, but for the conspiracy to expand as it has. And that COVID get exposed, because the perpetrators and I became aware of COVID in 2017 when the Shermans were being murdered. The months prior, when these perpetrators conspired, when they conspired to commit it, I was there when they conspired, and I tried my best to document it. And in doing so, I said things to make them think that I was a participant,
Yeah,
you know, and
you would have to.
thankfully that kept me alive. In fact, I'll give you a couple details that I've already told the police. One of these gentlemen, Viswanathan, Kilamaraj Viswanathan, a Sri Lankan guy, I gained his trust because I told him about a cannabis dealer that I used to deal with, that I used to get my weed from before it was illegal. When weed was illegal, I used to get my cannabis supply from a Sri Lankan guy, and I gave this person's name to Kilamaraj. So Kilamaraj, I had his trust. All right. Dmitry Veremenko knew me from my ex-girlfriend. The fact that I had already visited Ukraine and Russia in 2016. So Dmitry had already trusted me with this crazy story that he knew the access codes to the Shirley residence. And then he introduced me to Kilamaraj. And Kilamaraj had this guy from Burma, Myanmar, this really short guy who was always concerned about the well-being of his family, which I was really curious to find out about that, because Kilamaraj had this guy on his like this foreigner, Marnak, who basically did his bidding. Marnak would fight me if Kilamaraj told him to do that. You know, but he didn't. Him and Dmitry were fighting, just scrapping one time, and it wasn't really that bad. But I mean, they looked at me like I was going to fight Marnak next, and I didn't want to fight anybody. So I mean, this just not trying to go off the rails here, but you know, the Sherman murder was a really turning point that most people don't really know about. It's not in the media either. Ukraine is in the media, but the Shermans aren't really being talked about, and it's so relative to COVID that people that we're there are spaces where if I bring up COVID or the Shermans, people don't want to connect them, but they totally were. For me, they were connected. because that's when I
Mm.
learned about COVID. When I was privy to the conspiracy to commit murder for honey badger.
Crime of the century. That's what it was.
Yeah, yeah,
It was also like a beta test to see what they could get away with and
yeah.
how people fall for rhetoric. But knowing what we know now, we know it was a crime of the century, and we know it was all over the world, not just here. And yeah, you definitely were right in the frying pan
Yeah.
of very few people that knew what was going on. But you're also in the frying pan again in Ukraine.
Right.
Um,
In the fire almost.
yeah. So I did hear Russia hit some power station,
Yeah.
and there was. Are you
Right.
experiencing power outs?
Oh yeah. I've got a resiliency kit that I give out to civilians here though. I have access to reclaimed Tesla car batteries that were donated, and I've for months I've been disassembling them and charging them, testing them, and building power banks, and I
Mm-hmm.
give them out to to civilians and the military across the country. That's one of my more latest developments and works that I provide as relief to Ukrainians and the military as well. I give those power backs. So what we do is provide these devices and a little transformer that converts 5 volts on your power bank to 12 volts. It's a little wire. You can get them in the dollar store here, and we provide this in a power bank. And then you can maintain your LED lighting, emergency lighting, and your internet on a small router. Routers don't use much watt energy. They use like 12 volts and like 1 amp. So it's like 12 watts. People have much more high end routers. They use more, but most providers give the basic setup. So a lot of there's a resiliency kit that I'm providing to Ukrainians here. It's this with an LED light, and it enables connectivity. It's just a means of surviving, and staying connected and staying illuminated during these times, because there is definitely rolling blackouts across the country. In fact, I was anticipating a little while ago that there would be one here, and I've been able to maintain my connectivity amidst the power without any interruptions because of the solar panels that I've been working with since my time in Canada. Providing solar panels is like my second nature already, because I've been putting solar panels on trailers and on vehicles in Canada, right? I've been working in these alternative energy fields, providing energy sustainability and sovereignty, I like to call it, so that we're not beholden to somebody else flicking the switch on our connectivity or our capacity to charge our devices, at least, because your phone doesn't use much, doesn't consume much energy. It's got a small battery. You can charge it quickly with a little solar panel. And so we've given out a number of these power banks already. And across the country, there's power outages every day, a few times a day. It's out for hours. But with these small devices, you can have lighting, internet connectivity, and charge your devices, charge your phones, which helps. It helps in so many different levels because people have anxiety, and you need your device. So, but there are as many. I think that as many challenges and problems there are in our world, there are as many solutions, if not more.
Mm-hmm. No, the news I don't really trust, but the news is saying that Kiev is being hit right now, and there's a
Right now, yeah, most likely it is.
major corruption scandal engulfs top Zelensky allies.
Energy, yeah, I read about this scandal. There's a scandal here, yeah, about the energy.
Yeah,
It's being sold
yep.
to Europe. It's being sold to Europe because it's a struggling country. Ukraine's a struggling country, and I've read a lot of these comments, and scandals are happening in countries like Ukraine that are developing countries. You
I
know,
don't put a lot of faith in BBC though, personally, but I
I,
will.
it is mainstream. It is totally mainstream, but reporting on Ukraine, I think it's very on the level. probably most likely. But there is definitely scandals, and you're not going to like Ukraine is got corruption. I've experienced corruption directly, and the government's got some corruption, but there is anti-corruption an apparatus for that, and the public gets out and protests when there is major corruption. Just like that's what happened in 2014, right? There was a pro-Russian Kremlin oligarch stooge, and Ukrainians were more staunchly pro-Europe than he wanted. So it was a clash in the city's capital. And the turning point for that we need to recognize in the public wasn't that all this scandal was going on, but that the president of Ukraine, his people shot protesters, and that is really where it ended his government. Because we can see protests. For example, the truckers in Canada. Nobody got
Yeah.
shot, but if the government shot people, the government would have collapsed.
Oh yeah.
That's really what happened in 2014 in Ukraine. There were clashes, of course, and there were pro-Russian supporters and separatists and stuff. But
Yeah.
when people
Yeah.
lost their diplomacy and they lost the sense of peace, who really pushed that button was the government, and it was the pro totalitarian Kremlin government that pushed the button to shoot protesters. If that hadn't happened, there probably wouldn't have been a war now, because Ukraine would have probably diplomatically resolved things. But because of the pro Kremlin guy that eventually fled to Russia with a bunch of money, he stole a lot of Ukrainian money. He's hiding there, and that's that all led up to this war. If these imbalances hadn't happened, Ukraine would be in peace right now, I think.
Yeah. Well, Biden's son was involved in energy company as well in Ukraine. I can't remember the name of the place.
Responding to this too, Burisma, yeah. But
Charisma.
Biden's son is Biden's son, yeah. Biden's son is not a government official.
No, no. He just was on the board and he made good money. But I mean, he had his father's, power to get him where he wanted to go. That happens a lot. From father to son, like kingships. But
Dynastic corporatism
yeah.
in politics. Yeah. It's an unfortunate thing in our world. I hate it too.
So
I,
you're
I
being
mean,
told to be quiet. How come? The unions
it's
are
quiet.
trying to. The unions trying to silence you. Why is that?
Well, it's not just the unions that's trying to silence me. It's the Sherman perpetrators that have silenced me.
Oh,
Toronto police tried to kidnap. I almost became a disappeared person at 1,000 Finch on one occasion. I was a trap door at 1,000 Finch. There's other courthouses in Toronto and in probably in North America, around the world, that participate in human trafficking. And
yeah.
I almost disappeared at 1,000 Finch, protesting my landlord's assaults, which were on high definition video. And they got away with it basically. But at 1,000 Finch in Toronto, in North York, I protested that. I was detained without cause. I was placed in a cell with a trap door at 1,000 Finch, and police came up from the floor, and I faked a seizure to get out of that. Can you imagine? They took me and discharged me without any paperwork to the Esso gas station across the street from 1,000 Finch, so that I could go to the hospital because they thought I really had a seizure. There's a level of criminality in our society that is beyond the veil of people's perception. You know that it's just so crooked that it's part of the fabric of government, part of you know so many different things, and these documents support that, because they're trying. My own representatives, the labor representatives that I had, or technically still have, because I'm just a suspended member. I'm behind in my dues. They told the dues office not to accept my dues payment, which was unconstitutional and a breach of oath and a breach of trust and a violation of Ontario's labor laws. But the worst thing is that they've got the York Regional Police to act as a censorship body, to discredit me, to censor me,
Oh
and
yeah.
disenfranchise me of my employment capacity to source funds to find income.
Yeah, they're just saying
And
they're making allegations regarding the ongoing Sherman murder investigation. Are they saying that they're investigating it? Is that what they're admitting right here?
well,
Right here?
so
Ongoing?
that is dated back to 2021, correct? That's the one
Yep.
dated to 2021.
Mm,
So back in 2020 and 2021 is when they told the dues office not to accept my payment, which was the breach of their constitution. And then this was as a result of me asking questions about the Shermans, about not about the Shermans, but their residents. I asked a very specific question, and as soon as I asked this question, I was threatened by the same people that are on that those accusers. One
mhm.
of them threatened me with harm, saying, and I'm not gonna say you because this is still being investigated, right? And I've already told this to York Regional Police. They threatened me after I asked if the Sherman residence was ever a job site for local 675 or local 27. And I didn't get an answer, right? Because Dimitri already had the entry codes because it was a job site. He had worked on their property as a drywaller years prior. He remembered the access codes. He bragged about partying in their pool when they were on vacation one time to me in 2017
Mm.
and to other people that I questioned. So I really, in the Sherman murders, I was the first person to investigate because I began collecting evidence before it occurred during the conspiracy to commit. And the police laugh at me when I say stuff like this. They just laugh. Like they think I'm crazy. They said, "Are you on your meds?" You know, I wish I had meds that could fix these problems in our society. But
Well,
taking a pill is not going to fix anything.
well, the police could have helped a lot of different things, but they chose not
But yeah,
to. When they say it's an open investigation, then that just tells me they don't want to talk about it, and they're not going to tell you about it to stop the conversation. And concerned about the winter coming with the
yeah,
attacks on the power system. Uh, a lot of people could die for no reason just from being cold with
right,
no heat. So, I'm very
right.
concerned about the well being of our fellow man. It's simple as that. It's not
That's
complicated. I don't care where they live. I
yeah,
seriously don't. All people matter to me. All children matter. All mankind matters. And I hope that we're able to end all of their dis corruption, and be able to. I would totally be willing to be a part of repairing everything because I think it's easy to fix. Education's easy to fix. Get carpenters, electricians, and just create curriculums and find out what the children like, and then promote that and let them just run with it. And go at their own speed, and they could like graduate and be apprenticeship. At very just because they're geniuses and they're being stopped from being geniuses. There's so many things that to me is easy to fix. Like in prisons, separate the violent from the nonviolent. Let them build miniature homes for themselves and for the homeless. So it's a nonprofit. So the taxpayers don't have to pay for it, and it's doing something for the community. Because these people aren't being reformed and fixed. Because a lot of these people have problems that no one cares about. That may stem back from childhood. That all can be and healed and make on society. We want people leaving prison, better than when they came in. We want them to love their government for respecting them. what we do to the least of us, we do to God. That's why we have to look at everything differently. Don't just say, "Oh, he's a bad person. He did a bad thing, and so we should treat him badly." No, no, no. Everyone can be good. It's just that how we treat them, represents who we are as people. You do that in Ukraine. Do you find similarities between Ukrainian people and Canadian people?
Very much so, and I've been finding those similarities in Canada, meeting Ukrainians in Canada. I get to know and love many Ukrainian Canadians in Toronto, and it's a very similar. It's the climate's almost identical. The weather is almost the same. What you're getting now, we're getting too. There's going to be snow in a few days, I think, but it's like mentality. We have a lot of agricultural similarities. There's a lot of agricultural development in Ukraine and in Canada, and the mentality is a lot of inclusive, sustainable beliefs, and I think that unites us against
Hmm.
the totalitarians. It's similar to the microcosm of Canada and America. It's similar to Ukraine and Russia. We're
Hmm.
like the smaller, you know, the weaker nuclear force. For example, and then Americans are like the larger nuclear force, the stronger nuclear force. And then together we're North America with Mexico, but you know. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ukraine and Russia is really, it's also a big misnomer because Russia is a federation of nations, really. If we were talking really about Russia, we were talking about
Yeah.
Muscovy.
But Mexico is like a creation of the CIA. They're, what was
Yeah.
the arms deals? What was
Oh
that
yeah.
called? The government involved in,
Contra,
giving weapons.
wasn't it? No, that was
Yeah.
Iran. That was Iran.
Yeah. Well, there's another good example. The Iran Iraq Contra affair,
Totally another example. Yeah.
giving
Yeah. Yeah.
intel to both sides. I mean, this is
Yeah.
something we can't ignore. So we're dealing with intelligence agencies with high security, licensed to kill. In 1953, they overthrew the militia in Iran and installed this nightmare Shah who just oppressed the people. So we've always supported the bad guy. We have to
Yeah.
accept that we're not a peace country governmentally. We're a peace people, but we've been lied to, and the bad guys are
Totally.
in charge. Now, on a different note, on a more personal note, I lived in Toronto too, and I found the girls are kind of cold. Montreal's the opposite. If a girl likes you, she let you know. They don't hesitate. I love. So Ukrainian girls are they like Toronto girls or like Montreal girls? Do they let you know when they like you?
Well, I can. I want to actually expand on what we were just talking about, but I do want to briefly touch on what you're asking there because
Yes.
I love Ukrainian women. It's people know that but I love Eastern European women and they're beautiful to me, and I think that's great and normal, and so I don't really, Toronto is just it's just a town, it's just a city that smothered my hometown of North York. It's not. Toronto girls is really a vague term. I can't really say Toronto girls this or that, honestly, because it's so many different people in Toronto, right?
That's true. That's
But
true. I found it
I,
cold when
I,
I lived
I,
there. I think that's
yes,
just guarded.
yes,
People are guarded. They're just trustworthy. I think that's what it is.
yeah,
They have money to lose. They don't want to be robbed, so they just ignore you. So I don't take
yeah.
not too harsh. But yeah, I am
Um,
curious. Eh,
but what you're saying for now I'm off rails.
yeah,
What was it?
supporting the bad guys.
Yes, yes. Oh, I really wanted to dovetail into September 11th. If we can talk about September
Sure.
11th and how
Yep.
Tim Osman was the
Yes.
name of the
Um,
CIA agent. Osama bin
yep.
Laden was
Yep.
Tim Osman, a CIA agent, and they needed him to take on the Soviet Union in
Yep.
Afghanistan. And it's just so convenient that their own guy masterminded the event that, erased trillions of dollars in debt.
Hmm.
Isn't it just so convenient, And like, but I'm just shocked that we're still thinking about this and wondering what's the real story because it should
Yep.
be obvious. You can't take out three buildings with two planes. It's just
No, and I don't
mathematical.
think Larry
Yeah.
Silverstein had anything to do with it. Just because he's Ashkenazi Jew
Yeah.
doesn't mean he had anything to do with it. And all the put options probably had nothing to do with it on the
Right.
airline.
Or
Uh,
that messenger app called Odigo. Odigo, you heard of that? There was a
yeah.
messenger app that told everyone don't go to work today.
And nobody seemed to notice all the gold was missing underneath the
Yeah.
buildings. There was
Yeah.
a lot of gold on there. So it was the biggest gold heist. It was the biggest heist. He got billions for the Ashkenazi Jews with the insurance policy because he
Yeah.
got double. And he just changed it a couple of weeks before. Then we have the Bush family. It took over the security. They shut down the buildings for a certain amount of time. We had the dancing Israelis. They've got, you know what I mean? Their fingers are all over it. And it makes perfect sense because they wanted to fight with everyone around them. Israel was created to just be enemies with everyone around it. So it was not a good thing. It's not a chosen people. You are a chosen
No.
person. I'm a chosen person. No one is above the other. Every God loves everybody equally. No one is. We are all chosen. So all this rhetoric of the Talmud and Talmudic rabbinic Jews is very ugly. Very ugly. If people, I mean, it's forbidden to be read. I mean, they call for the death penalty if anyone reads the Talmud. It's right in there, right in their book. If you're not a Jew, death penalty. Oh, really? Oh, I guess I should look over my shoulder from now on. But these are the same people that are getting thrown out of every other country. They're the ones causing hell on earth in Ukraine for the poor people there, innocent people, good people. Russians are good people too. I mean, they have bad people, but they have good people. Ukraine has good people and bad people. Every country, but we can't make war with a country because there's some bad people in there. Because that's everywhere. People make the choice to be bad. And sometimes it's based on greed. And greed is a problem for us. That's why in Christian countries it's illegal to have usury, because it's based on greed. So all these, the like Larry Silversteins of the world have been based on greed. Their lives are based on greed. And it's like you don't even need any more money. So just stop killing people for profit. Stop making bombs. Stop investing in death and start talking. It's easy. We're talking. We're not enemies. You're in a different part of the world than me. We can have a conversation. We can get along. We can make peace between us. It's not difficult. It's not hard. And if you can't come up with an arrangement, then you back away. Okay, we just won't do business with you. Doesn't mean we have to start, bombing you. We're not enemies. You know, we're supposed to love our enemies, and to me, there's so much wisdom in the Bible, so much good advice in there. I mean, I do know it's been edited, and I do know there's lies in there, and it took a lot of work and research to find it, but I still think it's an ethical, beautiful book. Just like the Gita is a beautiful book, that Hinduism. There are good things
Yeah.
in all these books, and they all have value to me, good or bad. Even the Talmud has value to me because it's still a perspective. Because the Talmud, the Quran, all have different stories about Jesus, but they all talk about it. So it gives me different versions of a person according to these different ideologies. Now that's just one topic. This is the same with you. You are there on a mission to try to give comfort to people that are very uncomfortable. And it could get a lot worse. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to keep us updated in the future. If there's a piece or anything, is we could be part of the celebration together and share that celebration with our fellow man and fellow Canadians that are watching the show. That's what I hope for. I hope your success. I hope we can party and celebrate together on finally ending the bombing, because I want it to stop, as much as you do.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I wanted to
I
stop
rant
too.
a lot.
I agree, and I wanted to stop too. I think we have to, until it stops, condemn the aggressor
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
least, because it's taking silence is taking a side too.
Hmm. Yes, that is true. See, I won't pick a side. I will pick peace, and I know that we have bad leaders. Weak leaders cause these problems. Like Doug Ford, perfect example. Ontario premier. He's weak.
I hate him. Yeah, he's a conflict of interest, an enormous conflict of interest.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Pouring out alcohol, just picking a fight, poking the bear. It's like
Yeah,
that's not what we need. Negotiate. Sit at the table.
yeah,
Trump does that for a living. He's been doing it his whole life, making deals. Don't make a deal. Don't be a, He's like someone that was sent to the principal's office. Like, how did he get? He got there because everyone else is so bad. Kathleen Wynne was just absolute nightmare,
yeah,
nightmares. So I think they kind of knew that they wouldn't get back in, so they got Doug Ford to pretend to be a conservative he loves Carney. Oh, he's a brilliant man. Oh, yes, he comes to my house. What? You're supposed to be not friends. So we got our own problems in Canada, but it's
yeah.
more psychological. We do need good leaders. And unfortunately, I think if we had someone to save our country, they would probably get killed, because we're run by all these bad people. And all the parties are bad, except for a libertarian, independent, People's Party. I mean, there are good parties, but the media won't even touch them. All the parties that are there, like, voted Maxime Bernier out because he's going to say things they don't want to talk about. You know.
Yeah.
Now, do you know of anything updates in Ukraine? If there's going to be an election, or is it postponed until the war's over? Like, what's going on with the elections there?
That is the constitution of Ukraine. That during wartime, that the military maintains control, and the president has to reevaluate it, and so it's basically on a postponement status, is my understanding. But that's public consensus. There's nothing new I can report about that. Um,
Mm,
although I do think that it's good to have a little bit of political diversity in a democracy, and I think in Canada we have that to some degree,
yep.
more so than in the United States.
Yeah.
I particularly tend to support the Green Party because they're the underdog and they have a more sustainable agenda. But I've been a supporter of more central left politics in my time in Canada. I don't really uh, appeal to the neocons, the conservatives. They just cut funding. They don't really stimulate the economy, and it's a misnomer to call it conservative.
Yeah. Well, I don't like any of them. I won't see. That's the thing. I don't want to pick a side. I pick the people. I pick the Canadians, and whoever's going
Yeah,
to want enhance our freedoms. Give people. They're not doing that. They're just whittling away at freedom. Doesn't matter what party's in power. They're all seeming like they're in cahoots. So I can't pick a side. I've read all their
yeah,
platforms. I think most of the people graduating in Canada, the kids, are left leaning, like 80%, 88%. It's very high. So they're being indoctrinated into liberalism, which is, the easiest way to get into Marxism. And democracy is
There's
an
an
easy.
extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's an extreme liberalism that I think we do see in Canada with the gender dysphoria and the trans and all that. That's extreme liberalism to me, and
Yeah.
I try to see myself as more of a centrist. Like I want people to be able to make their own decisions. The state
Yeah.
can't tell you you're gay or you're this and that. Like you decide. So that people can
And they
decide,
shouldn't encourage it. And they
right?
shouldn't encourage it with the
They
young
shouldn't
children.
encourage it either.
Let
And putting in the
no.
children's curriculum about 20 how many genders, I'm against that.
Yeah, it's terrible. But see, even the liberals have been usurped, over. I think that they've all been taken over, to be honest. I think they've all got a deal, you know. I think they've got handlers, that
Backers.
think, yeah, they've either got something on them on video or pictures or,
Oh yeah.
or,
Like Epstein and Trump.
yeah, or they just bought off. Money can do that too. People can be bought.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be bought. And
No one's tried and I wouldn't accept money. To me, I value change. If someone wants to buy me, they have to purchase what I try to emphasize. They need to they can make a donation to my organization. That's buying me in a way because I represent this. You're contributing towards what I all represent. If you want me to change, it's not going to happen.
yeah, if someone
So-
wants to buy me, my rates are really low on Sunday for a good time. For a good time. Now, like if Israel wants me to be quiet, $10 million, and I will shut down. That I do have a price to shut up, but that means I'm building a bunker and I'm going to try to save as many people as I can. In a worst case scenario, that's where I would be. I would be housing, thinking about housing my countrymen. I know that sounds
yeah, that's
crazy,
great.
extreme, but I'm just worried because these people aren't level headed, level thinking. I can negotiate. They can't. They just want to push and plug, like Carney supporting Gaza as this. Know, that's fine and dandy, but Israel, they got a bad. JFK wanted to search their nuclear facility, and he died not long after. So I mean, just taking a side is a problem. I don't want to take a side. I don't want to fund anyone. I don't care who the good guys or the bad guys are. Thou shalt not kill is where I stand. I don't want to pay for any bomb because it may murder someone who is innocent, and that puts blood on my hand. And as a God-fearing human being, I do not want blood on my hands, and I will not be complicit, nor will I consent to it. So I won't pick a side. You guys fight it out. If you want to have a fight, fight. Go ahead. Keep us out of it. We're a peaceful people, and we don't want any part of it. You have to deal with your own countries. You have to make peace for your people. If you truly represent your people, you will represent peace because mankind is basically peaceful and they want to be able to enjoy the inventions and creations that they've had over the years and utilize the technology for good, not for military. Get it out of the military and put it into human being, so we can have a renaissance. Have a renaissance. Cars running on water, flying cars.
Oh
We
yeah.
can have all these things that are just won't allow it. Free, clean
I actually
energy.
worked on. I worked on a hydrogen-based car. Actually, was the inspiration for this organization when it was called Pollute Free Initiative. No, I had already modified three vehicles to run on water electrolysis without storage of hydrogen. Right. That was
Amazing.
a Mazda MPV, a Ford Expedition, Eddie Bauer, which was the best one, and a BMW X5. I had modified three, maybe four vehicles to run on water converted to greenhouse gas, and it actually does improve the fuel consumption and combustion process. You get a cleaner burn, so there's less carbon deposits produced in the exhaust, and you get when you tune your vehicle properly, especially if you're using a larger vehicle, you get
Mhm.
30%. You can get up to 30% more fuel economy. And I saw that in my Ford Expedition. In fact, that's one of the videos on my Facebook page for pfiukraine.org. It forwards to the Facebook page, and one of the videos is me doing work on that Ford Expedition.
Right.
And we could have this kind of sustainable energy, but it's not. We won't be living in an energy hegemony that we do right now. We live in a hegemonic sort of pseudo free market. It's not a
Yeah.
free market. It's a hegemonic.
Yeah. And they make everything to fall apart and break like
Yeah,
computers. It lasted a
planned
couple years.
planned
You know.
obsolescence.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's greed.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
even cars were built way better. You know, 50 years ago. But I mean, we could utilize the pressure in water pipes in your homes. They could put little fans in there that create and generate energy. There's just so many
yeah.
things
I saw
a
stuff
water
like
system.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, and they just won't let it happen. They just won't allow it.
hmm it'll smash the
And I'm
economy.
sick of that. Yeah, they're scared that, well, no more profits. Like, so what if people's computers last 100 years? Let them, like a light bulb. I know there's a light bulb, incandescent light bulb that's been working for 100 years or something. It's
Right,
still
right.
on. So let's do that. Let's stop making it so expensive for people to live and let them advance and be who they were intended to be. Because we were
Totally.
meant, I mean, kids are geniuses, like almost all of them before they go to school. They register at genius level. And that's stolen from them by the education system. By the time they graduate, hardly any of them are genius level anymore. They basically stifled what they could have been, their potential, their true potential, and
Yeah,
knowing, but these secrets are not going to be secrets anymore. We're getting the truth out, and it's worth dying for, because enough is enough. This
it
abuse has
is.
to stop. If you have a good product, you'll be successful. You don't have to lie and cheat and steal and put poison in there to make it addictive, like monosodium glutamate that they put in all the
Yeah,
Campbell's soups and the potato chips,
yeah.
Doritos. That's a mental stimulant, a neural stimulant to make you want to eat more. That's disgusting.
Neurotoxin.
Either you got a good product or you don't. You don't need to mess with people's minds. That should be a crime. But yet
Yeah,
our government is complicit. They've allowed it. So all these
yeah.
people
The
are
FDA.
unfit. They're all unfit to govern. Whether it's a Ukraine in Russia or Canada or United States, these people are criminals. They're criminals. They're unfit to govern. And we do have good people like yourself and like me. I would include myself because I do care about people. And I would never okay poison in breakfast cereal for children. It would never happen. Red dye, and there's all kinds of different things they use to save money or to change the color of something. We could do so much better, and we have evidence of that. How to survive. Is it getting cold?
Yeah, this is the old time style heating system that we have.
Oh,
That actually it's better than where I was in Kharkiv. In Kharkiv, I relied on the city to provide the heating, and over here, it's all my. the amount of work that I perform is the amount of comfort that I experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like that. I just got to go grab some wood when it's been dry for a few days,
Sure.
and that keeps me warm. And my neighbor's got chickens. I eat a lot of I eat a lot of grechka. Honestly, you know, it's like like kasha. I eat a lot of kasha. With hemp protein, and I make a lot of soups.
I've never heard of it.
And
Do you know
I try to eat.
Gretchka?
What's that? Grechka. It's like
You say
it's like an oatmeal. It's like oatmeal. It's like couscous.
okay.
Yeah.
That's like Gretchka Thunberg.
Yeah. Grechka Thunberg. Yeah.
It's good to laugh, laughing can heal. So I mean, it is
And
a good thing. It's good to laugh when you can, because
so
we can't just always be sad and depressed, because there's nothing depressed about. But smiling and laughter is something that's has to be a part of it too, just to relieve the pain and suffering.
yeah.
So where you are, do you hear bombs and people screaming or anything
Sometimes.
like that, or is it
No,
peaceful?
no, no, no. Right now, I don't hear the screaming. That's where I was in the city when I was in Kharkiv in Kiev. Well, where I am right now, the drones fly overhead on their way elsewhere, and there is, we do shoot at them. Not me, but there are teams that shoot at the terrorists, shaheds and stuff. And apparently, one came down not far from me a little while ago. But it was more nightmarish in the cities, as I was saying, because we don't have protection and we're still being targeted. You want to have two walls. You want to have, during a terror attack, you want to have two sets of concrete between you and the exterior, is what they say. And that's the smart. That's a good thing to have a good policy strategy, for survival, as well as going into the subway is an option for a lot of people. And where I am, there's not much of this activity, and I need that. I enjoy
Just
that,
when I thought I was out,
because
they pulled me
I
back
have
in.
to maintain my wellness and my mental health. I take vitamins too. I take a bunch of multivitamins like B complex, and that helps me get through the stress. I take
Yeah.
other supplements like resveratrol,
Mm.
and I make sure that I make sure that my wellness is it keeps me going. Being healthy, health is wealth. It keeps me
For sure.
motivated to continue my work and to continue to call for transparency and openness in all the other arenas that I'm experiencing, like the Sherman stuff. Other things that I'm dealing with that you don't even know about. You know,
I think the Sherman thing will never be allowed because of the people involved, and
maybe,
it is
yeah,
it goes to the Silversteins, the banking cartel.
right,
The COVID was a worldwide thing, and they are worldwide. They are the banking cartel, IMF. There's so many branches to this tree, but not hidden anymore. They are coming to light. We are seeing evidence of their participation, and that's why I think that case will never see the light of day. They would just say, "Oh, it's investigation forever, infinity," because of it'll basically show you who's involved, and
yeah.
they can do it
But the
easily.
Epstein documents are doing that too. The Epstein documents
Yep.
are doing that in the United States, and I think we need our own sort of
Yeah, sure do.
awakening. we need to have an awakening too in Canada to this, tyranny that is in international political Zionism, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's a very oppressive, mercenarial
Hmm.
doctrine. It's not religious. Zionism
No,
is supremacism. It's
it's a
supremacism
political.
and
Yeah,
subjugation. It's
right.
only beneficial to those
Yeah,
individuals who subscribe, but everyone else is goyim,
yeah.
and we're not that great apparently. So
No, it's not a nice book. I mean, if this is why they get thrown out because of what's happening in Canada with the LGBTQRSTWHYZ plus, the Trojan horse of destroying society, and I don't know how they get any pleasure sleep at night because they have all the money they need. They don't need any more money. They could stop compound interest. They don't need money anymore. So I just think it's just ugly. Their whole thing is ugly because they have
look at
just
Laura Loomer.
oh yeah, she's one of them. Yeah, she's an agent. They have a lot of agents.
He
Epstein was an agent. That's why he's protected. Trudeau went there many
Laura
times.
Loomer.
His wife.
Yeah,
Yeah, Trudeau
Laura
went there.
Loomer was everywhere.
Oh yeah, yep.
That was his
But
room.
and she's
Everything.
good. She knows what she's doing. She knows how. She's a good talker. I mean, they don't pick. They're smart people. Enemy is
Yeah.
very smart. They're not stupid. They may look. They hire people that look stupid or seem stupid. Like Justin Trudeau was a good actor, and he was perfect for the role. And he's protected. They protected him, and he made a bunch of money just from the shots. He made a fortune.
Yes. Yes.
And the Kilos,
Yes. He
his
had a conflict of
shop.
interest.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, he's protected by these people. So how do we get these people? How do we get a leader that will get these people out and restore the Bank of Canada and, stop spraying our food, remove the GMO corn, just get it out of our grocery stores, get the monosodium glutamate out of the Campbell soup. They can just aware that it's in there and tell the companies, you have a certain amount of time to get it out or you're just banned from our country. Food. Same with Coca-Cola. I mean, all these diet pops that put aspartame, which is like the excrement of bacteria. I mean, it's disgusting in itself, but that's what aspartame is. I mean, it's not edible in anyone's world, but that's why
Yeah.
the word dye is in diet. I mean, they don't really hide it. DEI is it's all about dye. DIE. It's about destroying the minds of children until they're changing, mutilating their body and then offering them maid at 12 years old. Over. They will never have orgasms, never have children. Their absolute purpose is ruined. It's destroyed. And this is what Zionism is. This is what they do. This is why they get kicked out of every country, why they slip through the cracks into Canada. I don't know how it happened, but I think it's because are such a good people. I think we were easy to take advantage of. But we're not going to be naive anymore. We're going to have people like me that are going to just speak the truth, and as ugly as it may be, I'm not a racist, and I'm not suicidal. I'm going to be very clear about opinion. Opinion I have is based on do no harm. It's not it's not based on anything else except for my love of my fellow man and wanting them to do well. I want the children to succeed and to leave school geniuses as it. And if they don't, we need to change the education system so we can retain that genius level because I think they're afraid of our potential. I think they really are terrified of what the renaissance that we could have if we would allow our children to be geniuses. and accelerate at their own pace. One size fits all doesn't fit. It doesn't work with education, doesn't work with medicine, vaccines, just doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm reminded of my friend who passed away earlier this year, Pasquale Mascaritolo. He had type O negative blood, and he was driving, doing deliveries during COVID because he was immune. Anyway, he was getting regular pay. Everyone else was bubbling or whatever you want to call it, right? Locking down, and he was still doing deliveries. And people would always condemn him for being out. And he would say, "But I have no negative blood. I'm immune. Don't worry." People wouldn't care. And he would always tell me it was a nightmare during COVID because people would lecture him for not wearing a mask. He doesn't need a vaccine. He doesn't need a mask. He's immune. He had type O negative blood. But he ended his life earlier this year, my friend Pasquale Mascaritolo. He lived in North York, not far from where I grew up in Weston Road in 401.
How horrible.
And he had men's health concerns. Men's health concerns are under acknowledged, and we get sent to die in wars.
Yes.
We're first responders. We're even police officers. The majority of our men, right? So we do have this unfortunate task of herding cats. Let's call it. Living in this world.
Yeah. Well, they wanted
But
the men. They wanted the men weak for the
yeah,
invasion.
yeah,
And easiest way for Islam to take over a country is through democracy and immigration. So they have the numbers, and they will smile until they have their majority, and then boom, Sharia law out of the blue. No one expected. It's like a soft coup. That's what the
hmm
world is. Soft coups
it's a
everywhere.
soft coup. Yeah, multiple soft coups. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And I want Ukrainians to have their freedom and their peace. They don't deserve this. And I also want the same for Russians. I want the same for Israelis. And but not the Ashkenazi Israeli. I don't give a damn about them because they have disdain for everyone. Doesn't matter what religion
Yeah.
you are. They hate everyone. And the 3-year-old children. That's just too much for me. I don't even agree with any of the religions on that. None of them. Just because a girl has her period doesn't mean she's ready for marriage. That's baloney. You have to look at the psychological part. And this is what all these religions did. Oh, well, she had her period. She can get pregnant. So therefore, no, no, no. Our brain isn't finished growing until we're I don't even think people should vote until they're 25, until their brain is finished growing, let alone get
Maybe you're
married.
right. Yeah.
Same with marriage. Also, don't
hmm
accept honor killings. Because your daughter falls in love with someone that's not, you would kill
Yeah.
her. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable anywhere. So I can still respect Islam, but I don't respect that. I
Well,
think
I can tell you about Russian law. There is a Russian law that makes it okay to beat your wife. They're not very progressive over there right now.
yeah, yeah, it says right in the Quran that to you can beat her. You can beat your wife.
Oh no, in Russian law, not even religious law. The country, Russia,
No way.
they, they're telling people, there's a lot of war veterans coming back from the front in Russia. They're all crazy and alcoholics, and they're beating their wives and they're getting away with it.
Yeah. See, and that's only something Russians can change and fix. Like my focus is Canada, but I do care about the whole world. And it doesn't matter what religion you're in. I want. I'm not going to tell people what to believe. I am going to give my opinion. Then that's it. Because I'm functional on a do no harm, and that's where I come from. If it harms, don't do it. If you
Yeah.
if you want to marry a woman that makes you angry and want to hit her, don't marry her. you know Look for compatibility.
Yeah, oh yeah, for
and you're
sure,
not gonna find that in a child.
for
But
sure.
is there anything you wanted to cover before we ended our show? And I know we're probably gonna have another one after to update. Um, just keep in touch with me, and but if there's anything else that you want to let people know, any updates, feel free to do that
Um,
now.
I can try to say that I'm committed to human sovereignty and peace, and we're just focused on Ukraine, but it's a global mandate, global mission of PFI Ukraine, and that regarding the Sherman thing and the update on that. They are currently investigating it with the Carpenters Union through York Regional Police are being investigated for public mischief right now. The executives who charged me with harassment to discredit me, and it's an ongoing investigation. So I want to help bring the public the awareness that I've had since 2017. And I filed police complaints just recently. Now that I have a police report number for my information about the Shermans, I filed a police complaint now at the complete official police complaint office, and I should get some information back about that soon. And I'm a transparent, open, accessible person. Anyone in the public or anyone can really contact me on the very available channels and phone numbers, and I'm happy to answer any of those questions about these topics and tangential ones and my work in Ukraine. And I appreciate being interviewed like this because I am taking a risk coming forward about everything I've been saying, and working in Ukraine. But civilians here in Ukraine are at risk all the time. And I just empathize and sympathize with people that are facing these kinds of harms and ecocide and terrorism. And in coming to Ukraine, I'm fulfilling a thousand different purposes. One of them is my own safety, ironically enough, and another is I want to do something to help to help people. In the short time of life that I have left, because we all die at some point. I want to at least be able to say that I've contributed. I've tried to do my part, my due diligence, and fulfill the missions of my mission statement of my organization. And I want to see Ukraine persevere, reach victory, and that Russia and Ukraine one day achieve peace. But we have to acknowledge that it wasn't Ukraine that invaded.
Mm. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know the truth, and except the people there. This is you on Twitter, PFI
Facebook.
Ukraine target.
Oh, that Twitter. Yeah, sorry, I use dark.
Yeah. But you have your YouTube channel there as well,
Yeah, I
and
have a YouTube channel, JP with Ukraine.
mhm. So I'll try to just make
Go
it
back to
accessible
2020.
for everyone, so they can find you. I'll put the link to your email transfers if you want to help JP in Ukraine. Uh, Thank you for coming on the show, JP Santonato. Um, Thank you for your courage and your uh, willingness to come on the show and to share and what it's like, because people don't know what it's like what's going on in Ukraine. And I wish you a uh, safe future with electricity, and so we can keep in touch and keep keep us updated on what's going on at the moment in real time. So thank you very much. I look forward to having you back on again. And thank you everyone at home for coming on to the Truth Table. We'll be back on Wednesday with three men who all want the same thing: to enhance the rights of Canadians. And we're going to talk about it and see if we can get our minds together and find solutions and find to unite mankind, to unite Canadians. And so I look forward to that show. That'll be Wednesday at 2 p.m. Thank you for joining the Truth Table.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.